What's up, dudes? What's up, y'all? HW here. This is just I'm playing the Quad Cortex today through that guy, the Tonex Cab. I still got this setup going. I figured I wouldn't tear it down yet. I was kind of enjoying comparing these two cabinets. This is a free QC, by the way, tones. All the tones you get in the beginning. I always get questions. HW, what tones are you playing there, man? How do I get them? Well, you can always check out the link below where, we sell stuff. But this one's free on Cortex Cloud. It's one of the most downloaded, like, Quad Cortex things. And sounds like this. Sorry, let me take off some of this stuff here. Let's try this. Clean it up. There's a couple different captures in there. That was a dirtier deluxe reverb. Here's the cleaner one. You get that authentic Les Paul goodness where it don't even really stay in tune, you know what I mean? The G and the B go flat, I don't know. I never had a Les Paul that did that. This is an old Greco that I got off Marketplace that I had that I had for a little while. That's not what we're here to talk about today. Today, we're here to talk about, do you need an FRFR cabinet? It's a good sounding Les Paul. I need to intonate it and maybe change the strings. It's got some crud all over it. Might be. Pickups, I guess, are a little on the microphonic side, but anyway. Do you need an FRFR cab? This is really a question that I think I keep seeing in the comments of different videos I do about FRFR cabs. Now, if you're new to the channel, check out the last video if you want to see a shootout between these two things. This is the Tone Master 12 cabinet from Fender, and that's the new Tonex cab from Tonex or IK Multimedia. And I gave the edge to the new Tonex cab. It's louder. More bass possible. You can dial it out, So it kind of sounds bigger to me. Doesn't sound boxy, even though it's the smaller of the two boxes. I never thought this one didn't have a lot of power until I played that one. And then I realized, wow, that thing really is loud and can really get real loud. No problems keeping up with the drummer there. If you want something to take your modeler live, that's kind of it, in my opinion. For a 112, it is loud as molasses. I don't know if molasses is usually known for being loud, but trust me, this thing's loud. But I see in comments a lot people going, hey, do I need an FRFR? What's the point? And I'll just give you my 2 cents on this. I have all the digital stuff, right? And I've got a bunch of amps. I would, if I just owned digital stuff and if I didn't own a Kemper cab, which I play all the time through my Kemper through it, if I didn't own this Tonex cab, if I didn't own this Tone Master, in the past I've played like a Friedman ASM 12. Man, if I didn't own any of those and I could only play guitar, I could only play my digital guitar stuff through studio monitors, which I got studio monitors in here, right here next to me. I got studio monitors in that room there. If I could only kind of do it that way, man, I would just bust out an amp and start playing the amp. I'm not a person that digs like playing in front of a studio monitor all the time. I'm really not. Now, when I play my studio monitors pretty consistently is when I'm recording stuff and I'm working with other tracks, like multiple tracks in the DAW, or when, like I'm practicing, let's say I have to learn a track, right? I find it really helpful to take the track, play it on my Yamahas. I got HS 8s over here. And, or are these 10s? I don't really know. Anyway, I play them on these monitors, and then I plug my guitar maybe into a QC or a Tonex or a Kemper, and I go right into put it into the DAW there, and then I want to hear my guitar through the same speakers that I'm hearing the track, because I kind of want to dial in my sound for that mix. Now, yeah, I'm playing on top of another guitar player and stuff, but that's actually good. I want to hear how different or close I might sound to that guitar player if I'm trying to cop a very similar sound, or I'm trying to get something a little different. Maybe I want a little more gain and be a little more aggressive because we're going to be playing live. That's something I think about sometimes. But if that was my only way to play guitar, I would just get an amp. I wouldn't play my digital thing at all. And so for me, one of the reasons I'm such like a digital fanboy, and someone pointed out recently, this guy, smack talks amps, so he's surrounded by a bunch of amps. And it's like, yeah, I love amps, don't get me wrong, but one of the reasons I love digital so much is to me, the FRFRs, kind of solve the problem of not feeling like I'm playing an amp, or solve the problem of, I don't even think about it, I just plug into them through these cabs and I just enjoy it. I don't even think like, oh, I could be having some other experience. I don't think about it. It's like how I want to play guitar. I want to listen to a speaker that's 5, 6, 7 feet away, and I want it to sort of fill the room, and I really enjoy that. But live for me, I don't need them. But I mean, and live, I would even say this: if it was just about me, like if I'm playing in a situation where there's a wedge in front of me, and I'm saying, hey, house monitor guy, can I get more vocals and stuff? I don't understand any of the people who think that in that situation you need accurate representation of your sound. You don't have an accurate representation of the band. Now, hang on. I know a lot of people are going to go, you want to hear what you're playing, right? I mean, yeah, let me give you a pretty famous example, though. Mike Campbell, for a while with Tom Petty, he was playing 2 Princeton reverbs and 2 AC30s. And he would tell the sound guy, give me the Princetons. I want the Princetons in my monitors. I want to hear the Princetons right here. And so he was basically, he might have even had the Princetons pointed at him, or I don't remember how the setup was, but the point is, Mike Campbell was hearing the 2 Princetons on stage. That's all he wanted to hear. And out in the house, the sound guy was only using the AC30s. The sound guy was saying, the AC30s give me what I want from the guitar in this mix. I think they sound great. But Mike Campbell was up there going, I want the Princetons. I love Princetons. I want the Princetons. That was probably the only time I've ever heard of someone listening to a completely different amp on stage. But it's a pretty interesting idea. Nothing about his sound was so different through even one amp or the other. I mean, he's hearing a different guitar mix kind of thing, a different guitar EQ, but what did he need to hear live? I mean, he doesn't need, he needs to hear the other instruments, and he needs to play along and kind of hear himself. But it's not a studio environment. I mean, that's not what live is. So to me, when I see a lot of people going like, you need this FRFR, I would even say, hey guys, you could go plug in like my buddy Stu G, he did this. He was playing like, I think his Kemper and stuff and some other digital stuff. I think he went out and got a Marshall valve state rack, and then started plugging that into his existing cabinets, and just started amplifying his modular sound through another guitar speaker. Did it color the sound? Sure. But so does walking around the stage. So does being on the stage. There kind of people seem to think that these differences in sound from walking around a speaker or it bouncing off walls is somehow different than like a lot of the other color you would get from other things. And I don't think that's really true. Michael Britt also does a similar thing where he basically uses a guitar speaker and a tube combo amp, but it's like specially designed for him by the people at Valve Train, and it's his signature cab. Is it FRFR? It's not, but he's actually using a double cabinet, but it's just for him to hear it on stage. So he's basically just like, I know my sound sounds good out there, I just want stage volume. So he turns it up and it sounds great. Now, if you're disciplined enough and you know not to touch your sound, that works. Don't go like, oh, it feels like it needs a little more brightness to me. I mean, if you do that, do it in a way that only adjusts the stage. Don't do it in a way that adjusts the front of house, which actually I think is a great justification, by the way, for why these things have EQs. Sometimes I see in the comments like, why do these things have EQs, or how come they don't sound the same? Aren't they both flat? Well, one, there's really no such thing as flat. Two, you might be sitting here and you might be going, man, that one sounds really bassy and that one doesn't, or this one sounds really bright and that one doesn't. And a lot of that can be, I don't know which is the right amount of bass, and I don't know which is the right brightness or whatever, but what I know is they both sound like my sound. They all things are going to have a little bit of its own sonic character. But, why is a bass control important when you want a bunch of decibels? Well, you might be in a room where bass just collects in the corners and really is tossed back at you. You might be in a room where the high end just gets zapped and killed. And so that's where it's like you want to be able to make EQ for you that doesn't affect the front of house. And that's where these FRFRs are actually really great. Or something like my buddy Michael Britt's doing, or something like like I said, Stu was doing, so in both those cases, it may not be an accurate representation of the front of house sound, but who cares? You're not front of house. You're a guitar player on stage. So it's not logical to think I need to hear exactly what my guitar signal sounds like on this stage, because you don't have the same mix as someone else, because you have an in-ear mix, if anything, or you have a stage mix, a monitor and the sound swirling around you. So do you need an FRFR? At home, I think if you play modelers, if you have the opportunity to play above the noise level of earphones, like headphones, I'd say definitely it's a better experience. I enjoy it much more. And it keeps me away from playing tube amps. Like I said, if I only could play on my monitors, I wouldn't play the guitar as much, and I would just go start playing an amp, because I don't find playing on monitors as enjoyable. It doesn't feel like you know what I mean? Like it does. It feels like playing in a booth, like your amp's in a booth in the other room, and I don't always want that. Sometimes I might, but I don't always want it. Sometimes I just want to play the guitar and have fun, and lose myself in the sound and just focus right here. You know what I mean? Focus right here on the instrument, not on like, how's my treble? How's my whatever? I'm turning all this stuff. So for home, I think if you play, for me personally, it's essential. If you're someone who enjoys your studio monitors, maybe it's not. For live, if you're on digital and somebody else has, stage volume. I play at a church where there's no amps anymore on the stage. I came in there. I learned about the Kemper from a guy, and then I started playing digital stuff, and then slowly everybody just kind of converted, and then eventually they built a new, big room, and none of the 4 or 5 guitar players that were playing there at the time even had amps. So they had a room where they were gonna put like a little amp booth, and I think they just didn't even build it, because it was like something that was going to get done right after the building was completed. And then we realized like nobody would even use this, so why do it? And so we didn't do it. And now if you showed up with an amp, I don't know what they would do. No idea. No idea. And that's sad in a way, but it is what it is. Do you need an FRFR? At home for me, yes. On stage, you could get away with speakers, which was the earlier point I was trying to make. You could get away with just a cabinet. You could get away with throwing your modeler into the return of your deluxe reverb, or your Hot Rod Deluxe, or some other combo amp or something. You could get away with that, or you could get like a little quilter box and just run a speaker off that. You could do all sorts of that stuff, or you could get an FRFR. I think in that case, it's a really good thing too. But in terms of like, do you need this because it's 100% flat, because it's 100% a recreation of your sound? I think they all give you adjustments, knowing that 100% recreation of your sound is there, but you also need the ability to tailor it to your situation, to the mix you want, to the sound you want, and to your environment. You know, a lot of bass, little bass, too loud, too, not loud enough, these things. So, in my opinion, essential if you have a modeler and want to play at home.